inequality, often we named patriarchy and stuff as the problem holding gender equality back, or a significant problem holding equality for women in particular back. So you were kind of looking at the roots of what is the problem, and you're looking at masculinity, patriarchy, all these types of things that were historical, that needed to be dismantled in some sort of way and rebuilt so it was more equal. When we start talking about the conflict here, we start moving into let's problem solve, let's do cross community work, let's do this, that, the other thing, but we're not kind of getting at the foundations of the problem because we're too frightened to go. How far into the past do we go? And do we start blaming and scapegoating and then pointing the finger? But the IRA did this, but the British government did this, and the British soldiers did this. But there is something that's not really kind of saying we were all part of the fabric of the problem. I don't mean like us specifically, but each stakeholder in it had their part to play. But for me, colonialism has played a huge part in the problem here, and I think it's sort of skimmed over a little bit in the story of here. I know it's quite opinionated of me, but sure, it's all perspective, isn't it?
Yeah. When you say about denial and stuff as well, like I find a lot of sort of households here as well will actually, if they don't have a strong connection to, either side, if they don't identify themselves as one side or the other, then they'll tend to bring up, their kids as, like, ignoring a lot of the things. Like Nicole, she grew up with her parents in, like, a mixed marriage, and I can understand that 15, 20 years ago that might have been a hard issue you did try and talk about with a 5-year-old, but their way of doing it was just ignoring it and just putting out fires as they came along, and not bringing up any of the issues, and just saying we want nothing to do with that, not talking about politics, and which for a lot of parents it's hard to expect them to actually have to address this with her.
And Sean, totally. I think there's a couple of things in that for me that my parents would have wanted to protect us from it in some way. We were constantly moving all the time. We didn't know why, but we were constantly moving, but they were trying to protect us. But yet I had a thirst and an aspiration to go, what the hell is going on? And nobody was kind of telling you. You knew there were armoured jeeps and, everything going on, and whatever, police and all that sort of stuff. And bombs, shootings, but nobody was kind of helping you unpack that. School weren't doing it. And again, in this research of mine, young people were kind of going, we want to know. We don't want a history lesson of the past, but in some way we kind of want to know what the hell happened here. And that as adults we're not doing that with them, whether it be a parent or whatever. But again, I can understand from the parent's point of view not wanting to open up Pandora's box or, at the fear of God. But again, I was thinking there as you were chatting, you bought your first house recently.
Yeah.
How much of a factor was the area that you were moving into?
Massive. Like, because, the first time we moved out was a flat in the Holy Lands in South Belfast, and that didn't work for different reasons other than
there's a lot of madness that goes on.
So it's not good when you have to get up early in the morning to go to work. When people in the flat above
Party
you are
Central
partying till 4 in the morning. So, but that was.
Now, don't let on you don't party, Sean. We heard you downstairs saying you were up all late last night.
But yeah, then when we decided, right, we're gonna buy our own house here. The only option that we saw, that we could go for was West Belfast, where we're from. It's the only viable option for us because, it's our own community. We'll be safe. There'll be no worries. There'll always be someone nearby.
And also financially you couldn't afford, coming from a working class background, you can't afford to move into somewhere that is, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
A shared community that is safe as such,
on
the Ormer Road, Stranmillis.
That was unattainable.
Aye.
But then West Belfast, because it's the the housing market is so expensive because of that exact reason. The houses are a lot older than other areas, and they are, maybe the worse houses. They're smaller houses, but they're a lot more expensive because people feel welcome, they feel comfortable, because if they've grown up in that community, that they, they'll be safe there. So then, for that reason, we were going around, and there was houses going for a certain price. We were saying, right, we can afford that, but it's not a great house. Whereas, there was developments in other parts of the city that were giving you the houses for the exact same price, but were brand new, with, bigger and, just, and everything ready for you, turnkey houses. So, but a lot of them were in areas that we were no, will not be safe there. Categorically, we knew there was ones beside Tigers Bay and stuff like that. So we were just no, there's no way. But then Leganil, which has sort of changed hands a lot over the years, between being mixed, having a bit of a Protestant population, to now being more considered an Islist area, with I think a small Protestant minority in it. But at the end of the Leganil Road is an interface to the Ballysillan area, which is very heavily loyalist, and there's been a lot of hated stuff, the Our Lady of Mercy School and stuff. It's been a big flashpoint for conflict over the years, but it is a nationalist area now, and we went for a house in a new development up there, and it was advertised as a mixed area. It's new young families sort of moving in was I think what they were going for.
And even whenever you were, is this right, something along the lines of Nicole was from Leganil, or a mum or something?
Well, they had just moved
or,
up there a few years.
But even when did you walk or something one time, or was there and you were avoiding different areas, or there was buses or something, and on the bus you're getting from A to B isn't just quite as straightforward, but
But before, I had friends up there as well, and getting the bus up, you have to go through, there's a few different routes you can take, but one takes you up through Shankill, and then up past Ardown, and then up the Crowland Road past Ballysillan. So you're going through about four different interfaces on your way up, and just the language at each stop is so drastically different. Recently, this is just a couple of weeks ago, we were out and we were getting the bus back home, and we were coming up through the Shankill, and there was a group of girls on the bus, must have been around 14, and they were sitting and they were talking to each other across different aisles, and they had their legs stretched out, across the aisle. But then the bus stopped, and these two girls that were sitting a few rows behind them were going to get off the bus. But as the bus stopped, they sort of tripped a bit, and then they hit into their legs that were outstretched, and the guard sort of looked back as if you could have, you sort of tripped me up there, and was give her a dirty look. We came off the bus, and nothing was said until one of the guards from that group looked up and was like, "Where are we? We're at Ardown. That Fenian bitch," and what is she? Who does she think she is? Dirty, slur this and slur that. Hitting into me, giving me a dirty look. And I was and they were getting off Ballysillan. I was just going that's crazy. She's 14.
I'm really curious about that, because we were talking about identification earlier, and about people identifying with kind of two traditional communities or Northern Irish increasingly in some ways. Whether that's something that identifying with those two traditional communities tends to be something that lines up more with in deprived communities. But also, when you're flipping through here, I thought I saw a page that was on, and you were just kind of speaking to this a little bit, I think, about that idea of sectarianism, right, as well. Do you think that there's a relationship